Hey friend, this is episode number 520 of the And So podcast with Taylor Bradford. Let's get to it. Boss Girl Creative presents And So with Taylor Bradford, business and life musings from a successful serial entrepreneur. Each week, you will hear Taylor spill the tea on all things business, life, relationships, health, and everything in between. But don't worry, each week also includes a business nugget that will help you stay on course. And now a throwback to 3-year-old Taylor who inspired all of this.
And so,
Hello, welcome to episode 520. I'm your host, Taylor Bradford. Thank you so much for being here. Oh my goodness, what a week it's been. I was under the weather legitimately all last week, and I feel like this is probably the fastest I have healed from whatever the heck I had. I want to say it was just really bad allergies, but it may have been a head cold, and then it may have been a sinus infection. I still definitely am struggling with allergies, but I spent so many days and hours in sunshine that is what I'm going to chalk it up to, with how quickly I was able to move through what would normally take me weeks to get through. So I appreciate all the time that I have to spend in the garden because it was all in the sunshine. So yes, it's been busy. I want so badly to be out of this season of busy for roofing for my part. My part is dealing with insurance, writing estimates, writing supplements, dealing with insurance, closing jobs, ordering jobs, getting things scheduled, and it's a lot. And the rest of my businesses are really kind of suffering at the moment. Not necessarily with like just stagnancy, but I just don't have time to do the other things because I am literally glued to my laptop for my roofing business. And yes, I need help. And right now is not the season to get the help, unfortunately, but I do need help. And it's just the season. I keep telling myself, it's just the season. It's just the season. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Really, I think this is going to last me for several more weeks. But I have a very rainy week this week. And so I'm trying to buckle down and get the things done that I need to get done. So maybe I have some breathing room. Oh my gosh, I'm just ready for this particular season to have some more organization. Let's put it that way. Last week into this week, the books that I managed to get through, so I ended up DNFing Hotel Portofino. I haven't seen the movie, so I'm curious if I would have the same experience with the movie as I did the book. I was listening to the book. There were a lot of different readers of the book, so there were definitely male readers for the male characters, female readers for the female characters, but I just either found the storyline not thought-provoking enough. I just wasn't hooked, and I feel like I gave it a fairly good shake. I think I got halfway through it, and it just wasn't holding my attention, even when gardening. And that's a big thing because all I'm doing is standing there watering. So I DNF'd Hotel Portofino. I finished M is for Malice, which is another Sue Grafton, Kinsey Milhone. 5 stars. I did finish The Hitman and the Psychic. I gave that one 4 stars. I am about to start Story of My Life by Lucy Score, reading that one. And I'm currently listening to The Amalfi Curse by Sarah Penner. And that one's good. That one's good. That is going between 2 different time periods, but about the same thing. And, that one's good. Let's see. What else happened last week? I fell again, and I had fair warning. And now when I think back to the fall down the staircase, I had fair warning about that one too. And I chose to ignore both of them. And for whatever reason, my shower steam, I don't know, it found its way on the floor outside of my bathroom. And I walked across it and I was like, ooh, that's slick. I walked across it a second time. Ooh, that's slick. I walked across it a third time. Ooh, that's slick. And fell the fourth time. And I have a very nice, I think this is me trying to slow my descent to the floor in the door frame. So I have a good burn that kind of pulled skin up. And then I have a bruise on my hip. And I'm like, Taylor, when will you learn? I'm like, oh my gosh. And then here is something really funny. So I was trying to put ice in a small cooler because it was quite warm one particular outing to the farm. And so I walked out and I was like, oh, I need my camera holder, my phone holder, tripod. So I reached down to grab the tripod and I tipped over the cooler and sent ice out. I'm like, oh gosh. So I start cleaning that up and I get it cleaned up. I go back, I refill the ice. I'm like, okay, don't do that again. And I turn the same corner and I catch the wheel of the cooler on something else and it plops out of my hand and I spill ice a second time. And I'm like, I can't win. I can't win. I'm not repeating this for a third time. So I changed course. I didn't turn left. I turned right and went through the office. And oh my gosh, what a week. What a week. So let's give a quick update on my house. So I ended up going and having an appointment with Pella, which is a window brand that services our market. And I visited the Pella showroom. I have selected Pella windows, but I have not sent over like my exact windows because I ended up having to go back to my house drawing person and make some changes. So I'm waiting on those and then I will be able to write a list for windows so I can get a window quote. And we're also, like I mentioned earlier, in a period of rain right now. So nothing is going on for the house foundation. We still have piers in the ground and my plumber was supposed to be out to do some trench work, but again, rain, so we aren't there yet. Let's do a quick, brief stats update for you. This is my compounding social media interest theory. So I started tracking on January 27th. And YouTube, I had 234 subscribers on January 27th. Last week I was at 455. I am currently at 461. On TikTok, I started tracking at 139 on January 27th. Last week I was at 888. And this week I'm at 928. I had 1,386 likes on TikTok. Last week I was at 10,186. This week I'm at 10,571. And on Instagram, I started tracking at 3,470 followers. Last week I was at 3,560. This week I'm at 3,578. And I am saying that is due to putting the content back over on Trial Reels. So as just a brief, quick reference to what I've been doing with this compounding social media interest is I am creating one short form piece of content and I'm sharing it on YouTube through Shorts, TikTok, and Instagram. I'm also sharing it over on Instagram's Trial Reels, and that is where I'm seeing movement. Now, I am still deleting the men that end up following me through Trial Reels because that is never going to be my ideal customer. So that still netted me 18 new followers from last week to this week. And whether or not that is a tick in engagement, I don't really know. I haven't been watching my engagement percentage per reel, but something just to pay attention to probably moving forward if I start seeing some more like growth movement. I do know that I published something on my profile and then also on trial, and both of them hit in around the 5,000 mark pretty quickly within the last couple of days. And it was the content. It was also the music and kind of like the hook on the screen, but overall the content. And I'm like, okay, how do I keep replicating that? Because that is what is doing well. And yeah, so how do you do that? And that is still the $1 million question. How do you keep replicating that? And truthfully, it fell into the education line. So you either entertain, you educate, or you inspire with your content. And every time that I have educated through my content, that is where I see the spike. So that tells me that more of my content needs to be education focused. But again, that's kind of like this ballerina dance because I'm not wanting to truly be an educator with this content. I really want to be entertaining with this content, not necessarily like ha-ha entertaining or comedic entertaining, but doing lifestyle-based content is more entertaining than educating. And so it's this, what's the happy medium? What is the happy medium to get growth and it's almost like you're forcing growth when you aren't in it to educate, right? So again, what is the happy medium? I don't know, other than teaching from what I have learned as a newbie. And that is what made my content pop off. And so, but at some point I will no longer be a newbie. And again, like, what is the happy medium? I really wish that we were able to just post for the sake of posting. And that is no longer the case. And really, I'm not even sure if that was the case when like Instagram first started. And I feel like I've had this focus on Instagram for so long because it is the harder nut to crack, but also because there is so much noise on Instagram, just like there is on TikTok and just like there is on YouTube. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to grow something and you understand who you're serving, why you're serving them, and what you're serving them with, it is still a delicate balance to figure out, like, how do you move forward? How do you keep pushing the needle forward so that you have the capability of selling the thing that you're actually selling, whether it is getting them to read blog posts from you or buying your product or buying your service? Like, what really moves the needle? The other day I was scrolling Facebook and I'm a part of a bajillion different groups. And one of them was She Podcast, and a fellow podcaster was saying, hey, we had a really good first season. We interviewed some pretty high profile people. We've done all the things. This is how we market. This is how we, write show notes. These are how we do the things. We're now gearing up for season 2, but we're not where we want to be. And we want to make sure we're not missing something. So what is it that clicked for you, or what is it that did it for you? And the first 4 comments on this person's question was hit by 4 different people offering their service. And that's not how you should respond to somebody. If somebody is seeking an answer, you provide the best answer that you can without selling yourself. And the 4 people, I was like, wow, I'm going to be the first podcaster that actually responds to this girl. And initially I started off snarky. I really wanted to write, wow, the first 4 people really hit you in the gut with their services. But fellow podcaster here. And then I was like, no, let's not do that. Let's not be that way. So I rewrote, and I was like, fellow podcaster here. And I just broke it down in like, first of all, podcasting is not the medium where you're going to go famous. Like, you're not going to go viral with podcasting. That is not the lane for that. You need to pick TikTok or YouTube or Instagram and try going viral through those platforms. Podcasting won't be that. The second part is like, what is your actual goal? Like, are you trying to sell a product, or are you trying to sell service, or are you trying to make as much ad revenue that you can? And how does your podcast fit into that? Because those answers are important to know. And so I just went through and I was like, it really is important for you to know why you're doing this. Like, what is your end game? What is your goal for your podcast? What is it doing for you and your brand? And then if you want to workshop it, I'm happy to workshop it further, but like, you have to be asking the right question. And right now, I don't think you're asking the right question. And I didn't say that part because that's kind of snarky too, but that's what it comes down to, is what is right for you. And the caveat to that is what is right for you right now. And then what works for you and what is working for you right now. And that is this week's nugget, is trying to figure out what is right for you and what works for you, and with the twist of what is right for you right now and what is working for you right now. And then knowing what your goal is, because we shouldn't be doing things that have no benefit towards the goal we're working towards. So for me personally, having the House of Sugar Creek as the big umbrella is growing an empire. So the whole purpose of compounding my social media interest every single day is to grow the empire. It is to land brand partnerships, brand collaborations. It is to get ad revenue. It is to boost this podcast. It is to get collaborations and partnerships with this podcast. It is to sell the things that I want to sell in the future. That is my end game. And it's ultimately to create another source of revenue. And that's the end. It is to gain another source of revenue so that not all of my eggs are in one basket. And I have started to think, and I don't know if I've said this out loud on the podcast in the past, but I have started to think of, at what point do I retire Sugar Creek event rentals? Because I don't want to be doing that forever. And it turns 11 this October, and I've had such a problem with holding an assistant or finding the right person to work for me. So now I am not hiring for an assistant. I am just hiring for somebody to come in and clean and maintain and organize my warehouse. And I have enough delivery team to help me on the events that I have booked. But it's also been a very slow season for Sugar Creek, which is actually more of a blessing because it has allowed me for the roofing business to really keep my focus there so I can get things done. But at the end of the day, I know that this empire is what I'm working towards, and my end goal ultimately is another revenue stream. So all that to say, what is right for you, with the caveat of what is right for you right now, and then what works for you with the caveat of what works for you right now. Because you could answer both of those questions in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 6 months. You could have a different reason or a different answer or a different response when you ask yourself those two questions. And have the caveat be attached, or don't have the caveat be attached. But I'm curious if the caveat being attached, what works for you right now or what is right for you right now, will change. I bet it will. So I just want you to post, and I want you to post whatever it is on your heart to post, because your goal is forward movement. I mean, heck, all of our goals for our businesses is forward movement. How do we push the needle forward? How do we grow? That is what we ask ourselves almost daily. Maybe not like, oh, What can I do today that will move me forward, that will help me grow? We don't say that to ourselves out loud, but everything that we do is for that forward movement. It is for that growth. Listen, no one notices what you're worried about. Like, I will pick myself apart and be like, okay, that wasn't good enough. Like, by whose standards? Just probably yours. Like, nobody is paying attention on whether or not X, Y, and Z is happening. So just post. I mean, for me to post short form content every single day without missing a day since January 27th, there may have been one day that I missed, but every day since January 27th, I'm just posting. I'm doing the best I have with what I have in the moment, and I'm just hitting go. And you can see that I have had forward momentum. I have had growth since doing this strategy since January 27th. Just post what is right for you right now and what works for you right now. I want you to do. So go forth and do. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. And until next time, I hope you have a great rest of this week.
Let's go.
And like my 3-year-old self said, that is all for this week. Friendly reminder to rate and review my show wherever you are listening. And last but not least, I'd love to hear from you. Leave me an audio message at bossgirlcreative.com/speak. I would love to hear your takeaways, ideas for upcoming episode topics, and your feedback. Thank you again for listening to this week's episode. And until next time, I hope you have a great rest of this one.